Hi, everybody. So, I recently had a friend ask me if I had to do this all over again, would I? And I'm going to say absolutely yes, absolutely yes, and even twice on Sundays. That's a line I'm borrowing from a friend of mine. And if you're watching, you know who you are. But we all have our challenges in life, every single one of us. No one is immune, but it is not the challenges that define us. It is really truly how we respond, how we react, what we make of our lives after. There are all these sayings out there and all these books, the let them theory, and it's the challenges, and we're not defined by our past, and they make us better and stronger. Everybody says everything like that. But people say all that because it's true. And until and unless you can truly take accountability for where you are, you will continue to make the same mistakes, repeat the same patterns, and continue to make the same choices over and over. Now, I'm not saying, you know, our pasts should be considered mistakes. Please don't misconstrue that. I know I said mistakes, but they're in our lives to teach us. Everything is in our life to teach us, to help us grow, to help us be better. We could continue going down that path of having to learn those same lessons if we don't take ownership and accountability of what that lesson is trying to teach us. If we don't shift our direction, if we don't shift our focus, our attention, our awareness, we hear everybody talking about now consciousness and manifesting our best lives. Well, when you're going through a divorce or you're going through any type of crisis, especially with family, because it's so personal, you just wonder if you have enough strength to wake up the next day. But for any of you struggling right now with those thoughts, know that you can absolutely overcome this obstacle too and be far better for it. When you look at your life and you look at, okay, how did I get here? This was not my plan at all. I had no intention of being where I am today. When you really look at it, you can kind of say, okay, I see where this decision led to this behavior, or this identity, this personality of myself, who I am being or who I was being, caused a certain something to happen, or caused a certain environment to be established, or caused a certain person to be attracted to you. Now, in periods of crises and moments where emotions run so high, it's very difficult to get a hold of yourself and really get a hold of those thoughts and those feelings. But you're better than that, you're stronger than that, and you truly are above all that. We are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings. We can overcome all of those obstacles because the awareness that we have within ourselves is greater than all of that. Now, this is getting into a little bit of deeper topic, and this is where a little bit of the neuroscience and the metaphysics all come into play. But this is why I called this channel the sovereign divorce. Because once you get a hold of your own sovereignty, your own inner strength, your own inner power, that's truly when you can be limitless and unstoppable. You will be better for these challenges, but you must take accountability. If you do not take accountability, you will repeat the same patterns. You will go down the same roads. It takes a mental discipline and a determination, and it takes a focus. And sometimes people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. They just don't want to be in that same identity anymore. So let's shift it. Let's refocus. Let's reframe. Let's get out of the same patterns. Let's get out of continuing to repeat the same situations and scenarios and circumstances. And usually, what I see with my clients is if it's in one area, it really is pervasive in all areas. from money, from relationships, work relationships, colleagues, siblings. It never ends. And sometimes with your own children or your own parents. So when you really truly take a look at who you are, our outside world is created because of that inner identity. And I'm not saying for you to take responsibility for someone else's actions. However, you can certainly change your perspective of something, and therefore it would have a ripple effect in how that other person is behaving toward you. So, without getting too deep, let's rewind and talk about this divorce you're going through. This divorce is not going to break you. You can be better. You will wake up. You will be stronger. You will get through this day. If you need coaching, if you need help, if you need any type of that extra support, I am here for you. But in the meantime, you can absolutely do this. You can muster up the courage, you can muster up the strength. You just need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of support, and a little bit of wherewithal not to divulge too much to the wrong people, not to trust your spouse with certain things. Because remember, the person you married isn't the person you're divorcing. But you also have to remember you've changed. You also have to remember that you were in love at one time. So sometimes, if you can put on those glasses of showing a little bit of compassion without losing yourself, we never want to give away our own selves and our own boundaries for the sake of care and compassion. Sometimes, people overgive or they don't have those boundaries that they need to. So when you find yourself in any type of predicament where you're just unsure of what to do, take a few minutes on your own, go within, take some deep breaths, and really sit with yourself in that moment. And then bring everything back to you. And then you'll really find some clarity. And if at the very least, you'll find some peace. And with peace comes clarity. So I know I was a little all over the place here today, but I just want to help express just some things that I think could help you along the way. And if you resonated a little bit with this message, I really hope you come back to this channel because I'm really going to be exploring all these facets a little bit in more detail and in more depth, not just the divorce process, but your behaviors, your actions, because my goal isn't just to get you through the divorce, isn't just to get you to decide, okay, should I stay? Should I go? Can I make this work? Should I not? What's best for the kids? My goal is to help you live your best life. Because whether you believe in past lives, incarnations, any type of spiritual realm, whatever you believe in, that this is just a phase, the hologram, we're only going to be transitioning later, there's no death. However, you believe in life, if you believe life after death or not, all we have is now, right? So, in this now moment, ask yourself, what are you doing to make yourself happy? And instead of looking outside yourself for that happiness, that peace, that contentment, look within. Because only from within will that peace, that happiness, that joy ever be generated. Because it wasn't the other person who gave it to you in the first place, it was you. They're just a mere reflection of you. Your spouse, all the happy times, all the sad times, they're just your mirror. So just remember that when you're going through the divorce. If you're angry, if you're resentful, if you're bitter, you have to learn how to let that go because that is only going to eat you up. That's not going to do anything to them. In time, I see this so often where spouses who are divorced years later cannot even be in the same room or in the same event with their kids. And that's just so disruptive, not only for the children, but for you. You know, there's a saying that when a poisonous spider bites you, it is not the bite that kills you, but the venom that seeps through its veins. So remember that the next time you hold on to that bitterness and anger, you're only hurting yourself. So you have to learn how to let go. within your own safe boundaries, of course, but let it go. And you can forgive from afar. You can love unconditionally from afar. You loved your spouse at one point. You can still show or at least express some respect to that other person. Be respectful of that past relationship. You don't have to necessarily still respect them, especially if they did you wrong or they harmed you. But again, remember, you have to reverse engineer that behavior. Was it truly their behavior that caused it, or did your own identity or your own thoughts somehow provoke that in them? And we'll unravel all of that. I'm not here to blame you or to shame you, and I don't want you doing that to yourselves. Lord knows that's not going to get you anywhere. I did that long enough. No more of that. We're not blaming ourselves, we're not shaming ourselves, but we are taking radical responsibility for where we are because only then can we make the shift. So let's make that shift together, guys. I'm here. I'm Sabrina, and let's go. Bye for now.